area of triangles, and a little bit of a reminder about area of rectangles. Alright, so area of a rectangle. Just real quick, if I draw a rectangle here with a length or a base of 4 and a height or a width of 3, formula for area of a rectangle, you know it as length times width on your formula chart. It is actually base times height. So what is the base? We can, either of these actually could be the base. 4 times, what is the height? 3. So 4 by 3 would be 12 units squared. What is super important is that you understand that there will always be a right angle formed between the base and the height. You would never measure somebody, you would never measure a person who is standing like this if this is the ground. This is never going to be their height. Their height will be always when they're standing straight up and there is a perpendicular, and they're standing perpendicular to the ground. So your base and your height will always be perpendicular. They will always form a right angle here. So now let's talk about rectangles and triangles. Let's say I have a rectangle right here. And the dimensions of this rectangle are 8 by 6. We know that the area of the whole entire rectangle, the base times the height, is 8 by 6. And we know that 8 times 6 is 48 units. What if I drew a line this way and I wanted to find the area just of this? What would I do? Well, what is this shape right here? It's a triangle. A triangle, the relationship between a triangle and a rectangle is that a triangle is just half of a rectangle. So to find the area of a triangle, so this is the area of a rectangle. So to find the area of a triangle, all I would have to do is the base times the height and divide it by 2, or divide it in half. So I just take the area of my rectangle, base times height, 8 times 6, and divide it by 2. So 48 divided by 2 is 24 square units. That's all. All I did to find the area of the rectangle was base times height and divided it by 2. Because a rectangle is twice a triangle, or a triangle is half of a rectangle. So let's look at another one. Alright, so let's look at this triangle right here. We have, first you have to identify your base and your height. And remember, it doesn't really matter which one is the base and the height, as long as there is a right triangle or the base and the height are perpendicular. So because our right triangle is right here, we're going to call this the base and this the height. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So our base is 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 4 by 5 units. Now if this were an entire rectangle here, all we would have to do was say 4 times 5, but it's not. So to find the area here, we have the base times the height divided by 2. Don't forget the divide by 2. A lot of people forget the divide by 2. If you don't do the divide by 2, then what you're actually finding is just the area of a rectangle. So base 4 times 5, it doesn't really matter which comes first because it's all the same, divided by 2. So 4 times 5 is 20, divided by 2 is 10 units squared. So the area of this rectangle right here is 10 units squared. Just the base times the height divided by 2. Alright, so now I would like for you to try one. So copy this down into your notebook and label the base and the height and find the area. So pause the video and do that real quick. Alright, so remember, the first thing that you have to do is find your perpendicular lines, or find where is that right angle. Our right angle is here, so one of these is the base and one is the height. So let's label the base and the height. We have 6 by 5. So our formula, area, is base times height divided by 2. Remember, because rectangles or triangles are half of a rectangle. So we have 6 times 5 divided by 2. So we have 6 times 5 is 30, divided by 2 is 15 square units. That's all. Alright, now take a look at this triangle here. Remember, what is the first thing that I need you to do? Think for a second. I need you to identify the base and the height. Well, do we have a perpendicular, do we have two perpendicular line segments? Do we have a base and a height? Well, we don't know. You may look at this, and I'm not quite sure that that is the base and the height, because I'm not really sure that that's a right angle. But what I do know, I could say that this is the base. Now, if this is the base, is this going to be the height? No, this is not a right angle right here. Remember, you don't measure anybody when they're standing slanted. So if this is the base, we would say that the height is this right here. We could also draw it here. We could draw it here. We could draw it here. We could draw it here. Anywhere along, anywhere is fine as long as there is a right angle. So our base is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because there is that right angle here. So area, base times height divided by 2. So 8 times 5 divided by 2. 8 times 5 is 40. Divided by 2 is 20 units squared. So, most important thing from this video, make sure the first thing that you do is identify your base and your height, and make sure that the base and the height form that right angle.